All right, so starting out by pulling out that sketching paper where you have one side on your brainstorming sheet and the other side the sketch of your mask outline, and then the pieces that we are going to cut out and put onto our mask with glue. Now we're still using crayon, and we're gonna think about what topic we chose. So I chose water, and see how we can color it in a way that it represents what we're doing. So I'm gonna pick out a couple of colors that I'd like to use. My colors are going to be purple, blue, and green for right now. I might actually add in some yellow as well. So thinking about how I want these colored in, we're gonna take the next 5 minutes to do just that. Seeing how you can combine the colors, maybe even going outside the lines or inside the lines. All right, continuing to do that for those next 5 minutes, and we'll see how we've done. And then we're gonna move on to our final project paper. So if you want to change something up, now is the time to do so, so that you know what you want to do for your final project. Also, remembering our sketch doesn't have to be perfect, just making it the best that we can for right now. It's to explore the ideas that are coming to mind and seeing what we can actually do with our final art piece. All right, giving you these next about 5 minutes to work. So this is me mid-process of coloring my sketchwork. I wanted to share with you a few little tips and tricks now that you've gotten some time to experiment. If you can see that the tip of my crayon's worn down just a little bit. If you take it on the side and use the sides of the crayon to color in, it'll create a really smooth texture. And then it'll start to make your tip point a little more, so you can round it back into that pointed tip that we started with, because we are not going to be able to use the sharpeners that we have with our crayons because they're not made for that. Now, if I decide maybe I want some more texture on my piece right here, I can go over with another different crayon, and the wax kind of repels the other color of the crayon, and when you run your hand over it, you can feel the texture on there. And you can also go back in with line designs maybe, or if I wanted to add some teardrops, water teardrops or raindrops in there, I'd be able to as well. Making sure you don't press down and hold your crayon so tight that it breaks. If it does break, that's okay. We can still use them. But just a little tip so that you're not surprised if that does happen. And then we're gonna continue to fill in the rest of our piece here. All right, so as you can see, I filled out my entire paper with color. If you have more time, I encourage you to do even more than I did. I still have some white blank spaces in the back. My coloring's not completely even. You can see the cross hatching that I did, which is just going over in crayon in one way and then going over in crayon the other way. But I would go over that a couple more times if I did have more time. Then what we're gonna do is put our crayons away so that we do not lose them. And we are going to take out our one final sketch paper. Oh, well, final project paper, excuse me. So that final project paper is in your folder, and it's a lot thicker, and it's a white in color than your other piece. It's the same size, which is super helpful. And then we're going to put those papers back in our folder, grab our pencil, which is still sharp from the other day, and we're gonna start by writing our name like we always do in the upper left-hand corner. So I have my name on my final project paper. Just in case it does get lost, I'll be able to find that. And what we are going to do is start by transferring our ideas from our sketch paper to our final paper. So just like we started with our sketch paper, we are going to trace or replicate the outline of our initial mask, that base piece that we're going to glue things onto. So, drawing that same shape that you have there on your sketch paper. And I'm going to make the top of mine a little bit different this time. It's going to be a little swirlier, kind of like water. If you need to erase at any points, you have the eraser in your bag that you can use. Remember, we want to take care of these erasers. We never want to poke holes in our erasers because we have to use them, and it makes them not as nice to use and not as easy to erase. Also, it kind of hurts the eraser. They're like, ow, I can't believe you did that to me. So, once you have your initial outline of that first mask piece done, you're going to move on to the bottom part where you're going to put the pieces we will cut out and place on the mask with glue to show movement. So I have decided that I want to do these squiggly lines that kind of look like water and waterfall. But on my second piece, what I'm gonna do is just draw the lines that I'm gonna cut so that I can use more of the paper. So I'm gonna cut this piece right here all the way down to there and keep going. So my lines and my waves are gonna look a little bit different, which is completely okay. Now I'm also gonna start ones that are going sideways from here to the other side so that I have some slanted pieces that look a little wonky. So these lines are what I would cut on. So depending on how comfortable you feel with cutting out your pieces, you can make your project a little bit more challenging, or maybe you decide that you don't want so many little lines to cut out. So just keeping that in mind as you're going. And also, this is going to be sort of an experiment too, seeing what we do really well and seeing what we can improve on, and changing it up as we go is also super important. I still want those little raindrops somewhere on my piece, So I'm actually gonna squeeze them right underneath my mask here, like little dewdrops.